through the basics of lightsaber combat and especially our take on Form 1, which I call the Gate, because it's the gateway to the whole world of saber combat. The first thing is you have to learn how to hold your saber. In Form 1 is essentially a two-handed form. So you put your right hand, or your main hand, if you're left-handed, that will be your left hand, just below the blade. It depends on the style of saber you have, where exactly you place your hand, and your weak hand, which is the left hand for the right handers, near the pommel. If you have a counterattack wheel here, this can be sometimes a problem to hold properly, so you have to adjust your grip on the handle of the saber. There are two ways of placing your hands on the handle of the saber. The first being the handshake grip. So you grip the handle like shaking somebody's hand with the fingers running along the handle, and when you grip the handle of the blade, you want to have the pressure distributed among your pinky and your ring finger, and all the other fingers playing nicely along. So you won't have to grip it like a hammer. The other style of gripping is the called saber grip, where you place your thumb opposite your forefinger. It's not really comfortable with this grip and with this handle, but that's mainly for one-handed use. The next thing are basic cuts, which I have come to number alongside a clock face. So you have the cut 12, straight from up downwards. Cut 1, which is slightly off line, the center line. Then the cut 2, which is a diagonal cut, more flatly angled. Cut 3, a horizontal cut from right to left. And on the other side of the clock face, you have cut 11, cut 10, and cut 9. These are the cuts from above. I'll show you in a graphic style, so you have a better imagination of how the lines of these cuts should run. The next are the cuts from below, where we have the cut 4, which comes from down, upwards, and if I do it in the cut 8, you'll see it more clearly. I don't turn my hand. With cut 5, I turn my hand, and also with cut 7. These are, I call these rising cuts and these upward cuts. And then there's cut 6, which is also a rising cut, straight through the opponent on a straight line. I'll have these covered in another graphic. Then there is the thrust. The thrust can go either straight through the opponent, or it can come from the left side or the right side. We have covered the basic cuts, we have covered the basic thrust. Now we have to begin putting this into motion, and the first way to put this in motion is a proper stance and the guards. A proper stance means that your weight is distributed in a useful way over your feet. There are two stances I use in saber combat. The first being a forward-oriented stance and therefore movement-oriented stance, and the other one is a backward-oriented stance, which is more of a static stance. So, for the forward-oriented stance, which is the basic stance for Form 1, you put your feet together in a 90 degree angle, step forward in a wide step with the front foot, straighten your back leg, bend your front knee, and push your hip forward. And that's it. From this stance, the most natural guard is the middle guard. You keep your saber in front of your center line, looking over the point of your saber towards your opponent. From here, you just raise your saber up above your head. This is called the high guard. From the high guard, just turn your hands, keeping your saber upright, to the right guard and to the left guard, which is better with the right foot leading. Coming down to the middle guard again, lowering your point to the earth in the low guard, letting it drop behind you, and here I switch my weight to the back foot in the backward guard and coming up over your head into the hanging guard. The guards do provide some protection against attacks, especially left or hanging guard or right side guard. But if you want to really protect yourself against an attack, you have to learn to parry. As I said, the cuts are numbered along a clock face. So are the parries. But there are some parries that cover more than one cut. Parry 12, which parries a cut number 12, is just like this, or with two hands. It covers against a cut straight from above. Then we have two hanging parries. We have a left-sided hanging parry, we have a right-sided hanging parry, both covering from cuts 1 and 2 or 11 or 10 and 11. Then we have a right and left side parry, which is like this, with a straight upwards blade. These cover, you guessed it, cuts 3 and 9. Now to the cuts from below. We have a parry in. We parry in a middle guard, just by a turning of the hip and the body, from cut 4 and 8, and the upwards cuts are best parried with the downwards parries or with the low parries. Against cut 6, the best parry is to avoid it, but if you have to, you can use the low parry. These are the basic parries. We will see other methods of parrying called displacing later on, but for now the most basic way to keep yourself safe from cuts is by parrying in this basic way. One thing you'll see in the form I present afterwards is called the whirl. The whirl is one thing you associate with saber combat. It is a twirling motion of the blade. For this to work, you have to keep your wrist loose. So your saber has to turn with the motion of the wrist and coming down into your opponent. The basic whirl is always a cut 12, sometimes a cut 1 or 11. So you can do it like this. And then there is the so-called backwards whirl, where you do essentially a cut 7 or cut 5 with a whirling motion. These get harder when these are easier done with one hand. With two hands, you have to coordinate both hands and keep both wrists loose. You see, that's the basic motion most associated with saber combat. So, these are the basic techniques. Now I'll show you a basic form where you can practice all these basic movements in motion.